Even hours after news of his death, flags in the Russian capital were still flying at full staff. Boris Yeltsin may have been this country's first president, but he was for many Russians deeply unpopular. His legacy is one of freedom mixed with chaos.
He did right when he opened the borders. We're now able to travel around the world. We got some conception of democracy with Yeltsin. We became free people.
He started well, but his leadership brought Russia to a condition where I feel embarrassed about my country. All his drunk tricks. I'm ashamed of him.
This is the iconic image of Yeltsin defying communist hardliners during a 1991 coup attempt. He went on to oversee the demise of the Soviet Union, bringing democracy and capitalism to Russia. He brought Vladimir Putin to power too, handpicking the former KGB officer as his presidential successor. For many observers of Russia, this may remain one of his enduring legacies. Under Vladimir Putin, the instability of Yeltsin's Russia has faded into memory. Flush with oil cash, Russians are feeling increasingly proud of their nation, and the Kremlin is being increasingly assertive on the international stage. But critics of today's Kremlin say things have gone way too far. It's curtailed civil liberties and rolled back on democratic freedoms that Boris Yeltsin fought hard to achieve. Yeltsin's democratic credentials were far from perfect. Faced with an armed rebellion in 1993, he ordered tanks to fire on his own parliament, crushing resistance. Then there was his war in Chechnya. Tens of thousands died and are still dying in a conflict that rumbles on under his successor, President Putin. But under Putin, Kremlin critics say the Yeltsin-era promises of a prosperous and democratic Russia were never kept. The result, they say, is bitter disappointment.
But since 2004, 2005, there was a growing sense of frustration. Why the country is rich, is getting richer, and we're not getting rich. In fact, the living conditions are deteriorating, have been deteriorating, and people just don't recognize why at the time when a country enjoys, such tremendous benefits from high energy prices, the living conditions for most Russians deteriorating.
In his final years, Yeltsin did criticize Putin. His reinstating of the Soviet national anthem, his record on press freedom. But it's not altogether clear what Yeltsin would have done differently. And with a record of decline when in office, few Russians believe he'd have done it any better. Matthew Chance, CNN Moscow.